Hey everybody, Brian Kirby here, Take Aim TV. Today we're talking about the Epstein files, the elite allegations, blackmail networking, and the power they don't want exposed. Before we dive in, I want to warn you. The things you are about to hear are extremely disturbing, so viewer discretion is advised. My sources for this video is the Department of Justice website. These are the Epstein files that were released by our government. The Epstein files don't just mention one powerful name. The files reveal repeated severe allegations of presidents, billionaires, tech leaders, and global elites. So these allegations that we've been hearing, they're atrocious. They're the things of nightmares. And some of them include sexual assault, pedophilia, trafficking, coercion, blackmail, homicide, infanticide, and ritualistic sacrifice. I wish I was making this stuff up. The intelligence reports and files also suggest that the United States of America is currently being compromised by a foreign government. Listen, none of this should be ignored. None of this should be buried. It needs to be brought to the light, and it's not political. These aren't political issues between left versus right. This is about truth, transparency, and accountability. And the part that bothers me most is we're not getting any of those things. We are witnessing the United States government going through great lengths, going massive lengths to protect the identity of people who raped, murdered, and have eaten children. These are all things mentioned in the files. The gaslighting they have been conducting during all of this is insulting to the intelligence of the American people.
Who gave the order to flag records related to President Trump?
To flag records for President Trump?
To flag any records which included his name.
I'm not going to discuss anything about that with you, Senator.
Eventually, you're going to have to answer for your conduct in this.
Now, pay close attention here to how she responded to that question. Any parent with a young child would know it's a lying technique that they do. When you catch somebody in a lie or you confront them on a lie, they stall. They repeat what you said back to you with a confused tone to not only make it seem like they can't understand the very basic question, but it makes you feel stupid for even asking it.
Is the public going to learn the identities of the men who abused the girls with the information that you're releasing? And if not, why not? And then I have a quick follow-up.
Is the public going to learn about men that abuse these girls? Like, what does that mean? I mean, I don't understand what that means.
Once again, he repeats the question back to the reporter and then makes the reporter feel like he asked the question wrong or in some way, shape, or form that the question doesn't make any sense, even though it's crystal clear what that reporter was asking.
I don't know whether there are men out there that abuse these women, but I don't think that the public or you all are going to uncover men within the Epstein files that abuse women, unfortunately.
One of the upsetting things about that press conference is he ends it by saying, basically, case closed, we're done with the Epstein files, and it's time to move on. And when asked, is there any more arrests coming, they make it seem like, why would there be? Why would we arrest more people? Because there's only been 2 people arrested. Who did Epstein and Maxwell traffic to? You can't tell me they have no evidence. This guy recorded everything. He had cameras in his entire house. Every room had a camera. He was conducting blackmail operations. And you're telling me we have zero clue who else was involved? The largest government and intelligence agency we have at our disposal, and we can't figure out a single person Epstein was involved with? I don't buy it.
I think it's really time for the country to get onto something else, really. Now that nothing came out about me, other than it was a conspiracy against me, literally, by Epstein and other people.
President Trump saying it's time to move on makes my blood boil. The fact that he would even say that when we've had zero accountability, zero justice, and it just makes me furious that they just expect us to move on after we were basically told that the ruling class is conducting insanely violent and disgusting activities, and we're supposed to just close our eyes, get back to work, and go back to being a slave of the system. No. Trump's going to get mentioned a lot, and I'm not trying to be an attack Trump piece, but it's warranted. There's a tactic he uses. Some people like it, and the people who are intelligent enough know this is not a good tactic.
What would you say to the survivors who feel
You are the worst reporter. No wonder CNN has no ratings because of people like you.
It's basically where he insults anybody who asks him a question he doesn't like. He goes after their ratings. He tells them they're stupid. He calls them fat, calls them piggy. There's all these things he does to belittle the person asking the question. And you may say, well, he's doing it because that person's stupid or they're fake news. No. That's a known tactic. And what that does is it's telling his peers that this person asking the question is crazy or stupid or wrong and don't believe a word they're saying, and I am the only one who's telling the truth. And in a free society and with freedom of the press, these are questions we deserve to ask our leaders. And he's making them seem like, how dare you ask this question? Smile for me, girl. Smile. Like, what are we seeing? It's just astonishing to me. And the worst part is that the mega following, they love it. They think this is some kind of thing, like he's a badass. And no, it doesn't make him a badass to belittle reporters whenever they ask a question they don't like. You see it throughout his administration.
You know, she's a young woman. I don't think I've ever seen you smile. I've known you for 10 years. I don't think I've ever seen a smile on your face.
That just tells you there is cover-ups happening, that they're trying to move the narrative and change the subject. And we can't let them change the subject.
Really, I think it's enough, because I think we should talk about the greatness of our country and the success that we're having.
The results of this tactic is division. It further divides the country into, I support my president, so whatever he says is gospel, or it falls into the category of something seems wrong and I'm an idiot according to him, so now I do not like his followers. And it's just further divide in this nation. Let's talk about some of the facts. Trump campaigned on the release of the Epstein files, and then he becomes president, and then they fight tooth and nail to release the Epstein files until it had to finally be voted on, and then he flip-flops saying, all right, sure, release them, but there's a lot of good people in there, and whatever else BS he said. And then, all of a sudden, the Epstein files that we have all been talking about for almost a decade, if not more, became a Democrat hoax.
This is a Democrat hoax that never ends.
The victims and survivors know this wasn't a hoax. Epstein and Maxwell being sentenced to prison for this proves it's not a hoax. The millions of files that support all of this prove it's not a hoax. But apparently, though, it's time to move on. Protecting pedophiles, rapists, people who did these crimes, in my mind and in the world's mind, it is as bad as being one and should have the same punishment. And in this country, the punishment is not severe enough for these sick monsters who are doing these crimes. They need to be brought out to the public. They need to be brought into the light. We need to reveal what they have done, and they need to be executed. As plain as could be. This is the worst crimes you could imagine, and we cannot let them get away with it because they are the elite.
Find them guilty and hang them publicly. I mean, that's not over the top either. I'm ready.
I always like to try to play devil's advocate, but when we have to try to remind ourselves that these files are raw record, some of them are very true, and some of them could be false. Some of it's just accusations coming from anonymous sources. But when we witness a pattern of the same people over long periods of time doing the same things and being accused of the same things, the pattern can't be ignored. It needs to be addressed. Some of the people the files reference are Donald Trump, George Bush Sr., Clinton, Elon Musk, senior politicians, and international elites. Some of the things mentioned in the files, besides the atrocious things we've mentioned at the top of this video, is how to decrease the human population, specifically poor people. On the list of many things to be upset about is they didn't release the files in a timely manner. We have yet to get all of them, even though they say they're basically done releasing them. They've already hinted at the fact that the ones weren't released consist of heavy child, obviously we don't want to see, but it also consists of murder and death. Files that were released were heavily redacted. They were specifically told to just redact information that was only going to be used against the victims, that could possibly reveal their identity or put them in danger. But what we see in the files is they are redacting the names in emails and other files of the people committing the crimes, of the people asking for atrocious things, talking about torture videos, talking about how good a child tasted. Why? Someone tell me why we are not being told the names of these sick freaks. Trump has claimed he's not in the files, and the only parts he's in is a hoax. But he is in the files. He's in the files thousands upon thousands of times. Now remember, this is just information that's in the files. These are accusations. Some of this information could be possibly wrong. But once again, we have to pay attention to the pattern. Within the files, Trump is accused of receiving oral sex from a 13 to 14-year-old when she bit him during said act. He physically assaulted her as a retaliation. Also, allegedly, during Trump's calendar girl parties at Mar-a-Lago, he was accused of measuring the private areas of children by inserting a finger within them, rating them on their tightness while he then auctioned them off. Also, in 1984, Trump is accused of being present during the murder of a 13-year-old's newborn baby by the victim's uncle, and where he then witnessed the body being disposed of. The story doesn't end with Donald Trump. Bill Gates, for example, has documented meetings with Epstein even after Epstein's 2008 conviction. Epstein also has emails going back and forth with Bill Gates where it talks about Bill Gates saying, I contracted an STD from one of your Russian girls, and he was seeking antibiotics that he could secretly give his then wife at the time. There's also a large record of emails going back and forth between Epstein and Elon Musk. Elon Musk goes on to beg to go to Epstein's island, even though publicly Musk has said that he's always turned down offers to go to the island. Epstein had a reputation, especially at that point, so that's a real odd request that you are literally asking, I want to be there during your wildest parties. You can't tell me none of these people, these smart billionaires with all their connections and all their power, had no clue that Epstein was doing all these things. I would love to list off all of the people involved, but there's just too many to do that in one video. And it's sickening. There's billionaires, politicians, people with connections in our banking system, our media, royalty, corporate leaders. The list is pretty much endless of all these sick, twisted individuals involved in this case. Epstein wasn't just a sexual predator. Multiple intelligence agencies with supporting evidence suggest that he was working for foreign governments collecting blackmail on the rich and powerful. This is a known intelligence tactic. Historically, sexual blackmail has been used for centuries to control politicians, control people who own businesses, and get things that you want out of powerful individuals. Epstein wasn't just an abuser. He was the middleman for a much larger and darker network. One Epstein-related FBI document, including a confidential human source stating that Donald Trump was allegedly compromised by Israel, claimed Mossad links and accused Jared Kushner of covert influence. Once again, let's zoom way out of the Epstein files and let's look at the patterns that we've seen in our society. Public record shows massive political donations connecting to pro-Israel lobby groups, strong financial backing from organizations aligned with Israeli policy interests, tens of billions of dollars in U.S. military aid and weapon transfers were approved under Donald Trump. That's our tax dollars, by the way. We've had repeated policy actions overwhelmingly supportive of Israeli causes and geopolitical objectives. Also, the ignoring of Israelis' war crimes and mass murders of women and children in Gaza. On a little side note, it's worth mentioning that Donald Trump's net worth has gone up by $3 billion in his current term. Listen, I get it. This doesn't prove compromises. These are just accusations, but you can't ignore the pattern. And in Trump's defense, it's not just him. 90% of Congress has taken money from pro-Israeli lobby groups. We have to ask ourselves a very serious question. Is the United States government, is our mass media companies, our social media sites, are they all compromised by Israel and Israel's interests? But that's a topic for another day. We all kind of know who Epstein is. He's this rich guy, but how? How is Epstein so rich? He was a teacher and all of a sudden he became a billionaire and connected with the most powerful individuals. Some of the evidence suggests that he was possibly receiving money from Israeli channels. Though official confirmation doesn't exist, but we once again cannot ignore the pattern. Just one of the examples is that Ghislaine Maxwell's father, Robert Maxwell, he was a known Mossad agent. It's the same things over and over again, and they're all just starting to line up, and you can't keep ignoring it. If the Epstein network is exposed, we're going to witness careers end, government destabilization, intelligence agencies face massive scrutiny and probably are going to be ripped apart, and global elites are going to lose their immunity. Instead, what do? We get delayed releases, partial disclosures, heavy redactions, and compromised mass media cover-ups. Now, the reason this is all covered up, it's not because the public can't handle the truth. It's that the ruling class, they can't survive it. It's about to get a lot darker. The references to demonic worshiping of Baal, child sacrifice, cannibalism, it has to be addressed. And these aren't just for Epstein, but this is across Hollywood that these accusations have been going around. So with all the crazy conspiracy theories from demonic worshiping to Pizzagate are turning out to be true, we need to be concerned with how deep this evil goes. One final note on conspiracy theories, Pizzagate. I know. It was one of those conspiracies that came out years ago. It was often misinterpreted on what it was even about. The media did a really good job at making people seem crazy for even talking about it. What we now know with supporting evidence is that Pizzagate is real. Pizza is a code word used by the elites, used by these monsters for children. But there's other food sources that are also used for code words, so that way they could openly talk about the eating of pizza and buying pizza and shipping thousands of dollars worth of pizza on a plane. And Diddy, for example, telling his son,
I'm gonna need you to get rid of all the leftover pizza boxes.
The what?
All the boxes left over from the pizza. All the boxes.
Okay.
Make sure you recycle the plastic like we talked about.
Yeah.
These are all disturbing ways of using the word pizza.
Inviting you all to a pizza party tonight at Jennifer Aniston's house. I'll see you there.
You've been to my house. We've had pizza. Girl after my own heart. Do we love a pizza or what? We love a pizza. It's so much fun.
I mean, pizza at the Clooney's in Lake Como.
Yeah, that's George and I would love you to come over for pizza, but you
oh my God!
Right. The food, pizza, as in the pie, the slices, is one of my favorite foods. I love pizza. The food, specifically the food. Don't get me confused. Here's the issue. I have never in my entire existence, and I don't know anybody who loves that food, have spoken about pizza the way Epstein and his posse speaks about it in their emails, or how many people in Hollywood talk about pizza in the most disturbing, odd way you could even imagine. So now we can't overlook it. If we know now that pizza is a code word for sexually assaulting children and cannibalism, why are we ignoring the way these celebrities brag about pizza?
Even Spielberg, he eats babies. Whole babies.
What you want in a pancake is to have the consistency of young human flesh.
I suck babies' blood.
I would eat a human.
What we are witnessing is biblical levels of unchecked evil in our world right now. This is much bigger than even our own country. And it's being done by the ruling class. Not saying all of them. They're not all doing this. But a lot of them are. And the names and the lists keep getting longer, and the things they are doing keep getting worse. When we no longer live under law, we are living under a hierarchy. And man, that is exactly what our founding fathers fought to stop. I want to leave you with this. The Epstein case is much bigger than one man. And we all have a choice on how we digest the mountain of evidence being presented to us. And if your choice, though, is to continue to worship these elites, these political leaders, if your solution is to ignore the evidence and just keep going on business as usual, you are not helping the problem, you are enabling it. If the full release of the Epstein files minus the names of the victims and survivors, is such a risk to national security, as we've been told, then so be it. I would rather see this country set back 50 years than live under the rule of demonic worshiping predators who are committing crimes that are disgusting and sick and evil, all for their own twisted desires. We can't let this stand, and we cannot be silent. We need to be louder. Stay aware, everyone. Carry often, and I'll see you next time.